this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you another in our series from Oahu, Hawaii, and our visit there last summer. And this is another portion of our visit to the Polynesian Cultural Center and a portion of the Luau. This is going to be the photos of them removing the pig that they cooked for the luau, which is super cool. If you've ever been to a Hawaiian luau, a traditional one, and you've watched that, it's really neat. So that's what we're going to do today, and I hope you like it. Let's check out my workspace. Okay, so this is my workspace for today's layout, and I have several pieces of paper here. I have, these are from the summertime collection, again, because we are continuing the luau, and so I just wanted to kind of stick with the same color scheme, same type of papers. So these are from that same collection, Summertime, from 2021, I think it was. And today's layout is going to be of my own design, but it is reminiscent of many layouts that you've probably seen before, so it won't be too difficult or too different, I don't think. I am going to use two punches that we've gotten here recently, the Monstera Leaves chain punch and the I think this is called Floral Peaks. Yep, Floral Peaks. Which we're also going to use, and we're going to modify this one just a little bit, I think, to suit our needs. So let's go ahead and get started. So the photos, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. The photos that we're going to be using today are the photos of the actual removing the pig from the pit where it cooked. And so they removed, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but at a luau they create a bunch of hot coals, and then they cover those coals with green banana leaves, and they put the meat down on top of those banana leaves and wrap it up in the banana leaves, and then it cooks for hours. And when it's done, all the banana leaves are pretty much toast, for lack of a better word, and they remove all of those and remove the meat, and it's all cooked, and you have what's known in the South here as a pig pull, or a I think that's what we used to call them. I'm trying to remember now. It's been a number of years since we lived on the back east, but anyway. So they do something similar to that at the luau. And these are just some photos that kind of show the progression of them retrieving the pig out of the pit. There were two of them for the amount of people that were at this luau. So we're going to use at least these two pieces of paper, and then these pieces of paper right here are going to be for our accents that we're going to be punching with our borders and things like that. So I'm going to set those aside, and we'll get to them in just a minute. And let me go ahead and stack and set this aside for just a minute as well while we cut some paper here. So grab your trimmer, and the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take this beautiful leaf paper with the palms on it, and we're going to cut a piece that is 6 inches. Actually, I'm trying to think now. I need a piece that is going to stick up on either side of my 6-inch photos, unless I trim my photos. So if I cut this at 8 inches, that gives me 4 inches as my accent, which would be perfect. So I think that's what I'm going to do. We're going to cut at 8 inches, or cut at 4 inches, depending on how you might want to do it. And these are the two pieces that we need from this sheet. And then this sheet we are going to cut down to an 11-inch square. Okay, so we're going to just cut 1 inch off of one side and an inch off the other side. And that is scrap. I don't know if we're going to use it or not, but turn your paper once and cut another inch off so that by the time you're done you have an 11-inch square. Okay, and then these two pieces probably won't get used in this layout, but we might use them in another one, who knows. Alright, so we've got those, and we are pretty much done with our trimmer for now, but don't put it too far away. We might need it in a little bit. Okay, so grab your, actually, let's just do some punching before we get to that part. So grab your punches, the Monstera Leaf punch and your Floral Peaks punch, and grab your decorative paper. You need one to represent leaves, the Monstera leaves, and one to represent the flowers. So that's what this beautiful pink paper is going to do. We're going to punch 3 of each. So if you've not used a CM punch before, there are these marks at the front that indicate your starting point, depending on whether you're feeding your paper from left to right or right to left. So typically I will feed my paper from right to left, and what you do is you bring your paper in all the way, bring your paper all the way to the back, to this shoulder on the back of this wing, and then feed it over until the edge of the paper meets the left hand mark. Or if you're going the other direction, you feed it till the edge of your paper meets this mark. Alright? So when you punch and you slide your paper until it covers the blue on the wing next to it. See how that works? And this punch has a little notch up here to help you see where it is that you need to feed your paper to, because it is such a repetitious outline that it just is helpful so that you don't constantly feed your paper in and out and around and through trying to find where to punch next. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this that I have trimmed, or that I have cut, punched. What am I saying? I'm going to take this now that I have punched, and I'm going to trim it down, and I'm going to cut it just a little bit below the bottom here, so maybe just 1/8 of an inch from the bottom part of that punch. Okay, first I'm going to go ahead and punch it again over here, and I'm going to punch it 3 more times. So I'll show you when I trim the last one so you can see it. Alright, so I just finished punching this row, and let me show you now how I go ahead and trim it off. So I take the bottom, the last punch that I can see, and I move it until it gets to the line on the left hand side of my cutting line. So not my cutting line, but the cutting line next to it, to the right. It's roughly 1/8 of an inch from the cutting line, and then I cut, and I have that nice little border there. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead and punch some Monstera leaves. And I really like this paper. This is a paper that CM came out with a while back, and it's called Juniper Green, and it's textured paper, which we don't have very often. So I'm going to use that for these leaves because I feel like it's just really, really neat. But it's not typically what we have, so you may not have this in your stash. If you do, go ahead and get it out and use it. I feel like it's really appropriate to use when you're trying to give the feeling of leaves, especially. And so I'm just going to punch 3 of these. You'll notice the difference between this punch and the last punch that we did. This is a chain punch, which means that it completely separates from the paper that you are punching, and whereas the last one we had to trim. So that's the biggest difference. When you hear in the description or the title of a punch that it's a chain punch, that's what that means. It means it completely separates from your paper. It's not a decorative edge. All right, so we've got that. Now I have this other color green out here, and I was thinking that I might use it instead, but I think this punched out really, really nicely. So I think we're going to go with the Juniper instead, but I'm going to keep this handy just in case maybe we need an accent or something. So closing my punch, there's a lock at the top, and that just keeps them tidy and allows them to take less room. Okay, now with each of these, what I'm thinking is I want to be able to run them across the top of our leaves. And with part of this punch in here, it's really going to make it so we don't see the leaves. And that's not my intention, really. I want to see the leaves. So I think what I'm going to do is take a minute and just trim out some of this design. So I'm just going to take my precision point scissors and trim the leaf part, or what's meant to be the leaf part, out. Okay, so I'm gonna may need to do a little bit more trimming as well, but for now that's what we're going to do. So I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Then we're going to go ahead and start assembling our pages. So putting my trimmer away and grabbing my pages. Okay, so I'm going to keep these in the same order, and I'm going to grab my 8-inch by 12-inch piece of my palm frond paper. We're going to, oh, look at that, it's got cute little flamingos on the back. When I think of flamingos, I think of Florida. So hi to my friends in Florida. All right, so we're going to put this, center this from top to bottom, just like so. Okay, now our photos are going to go across just like that. But I do need to trim these just a little bit. I meant to do that before starting and I didn't get to it. So I'm going to trim this one that goes right here in the middle. And I'm just going to take 1/4 of an inch off each side. That way we have a little bit of a border around each one. All right, so we're going to center the one in the middle. That's going to be the first thing we're going to do. So I'm going to line up my page on my grid, on my mat. Sorry. Then I'm going to find the middle, which is going to be right here, and then that's going to help me eyeball where the center of my paper is. Then I can more easily eyeball from top to bottom where my center is. And I'm just putting about 1/8 of an inch between my photos so that you can see just a little bit of that background paper coming through. Okay, now this border is meant to go across here. And I don't know if after all of that, I don't know if I like the pink. I love the pink paper, but punched like that, I don't think I like it because they're wearing red. Maybe if they were red flowers, it would look better. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my leaves down. Using my repositionable adhesive. Just going to put my leaves right across the top of my paper there so that most of that edge of my decorative paper is covered by my border. Getting to the end of my repositionable adhesive, and it's starting to get hard to pull off of there, which is difficult when you have kind of a delicately punched border and you're trying to pull that adhesive across. All right, so there we go. We've got our leaves and our border. Okay, let's go ahead and do this side, and while I'm trying to decide what I want to do about those flowers, because that's not turning out quite like I had hoped. So I'm going to take my 11 by 11 square, and we're going to put adhesive down each side of the square. And then we're going to go ahead and, now there isn't really directionality to this paper, but I feel like it is a little bit more, like it flows a little bit better a certain way, so that's why I just turned it just a second ago. Doesn't make a huge difference, but I like it better. Okay, so we've got that down. Now we're going to take our other piece of the palm paper with the flamingos on the back. Put a little bit on that short side too. Okay, now this piece is going to be set in about 1 inch from the edge over here, roughly. You don't have to measure, you can just guess, but it's up to you how precise you want to be. I'm not measuring, I'm just guessing. That looks right. Okay, so we're going to put that over there. That carries the same color scheme over to this side. Then we're going to go ahead and get these photos placed. And I'm not matting my photos. Some people mat every single photo that goes in their album. I'm not one of those people. I am putting this about 1/4 of an inch from the base paper that we added to this page. And it acts like a frame. If you are one of those people that likes to mat every single picture, then by all means go right ahead and mat these photos, your photos. I am not trying to discourage you. It's just time consuming and I don't always choose to do it. Sometimes I do. It just depends. Alright, so I'm just lining this one up with, again, the same width of a border around it. Lining these edges up so that the right edges of these two photos match. I may want to lower this one just a little bit, actually, so that we have some room for a journal box. We could raise it up or we could put it lower. What do we want to do here? Maybe we'll raise it up. I don't do that very often. So we'll put it up a little higher. That way we can add a journal box down here. Don't worry about the fact that I took a little color off. When I pop that off, it'll get covered. Alright, so I'm still trying to decide about those colors. Oops, I forgot something. I just realized. I got excited. Alright, so I have one more leaf border that I need to put on. Those of you who noticed that, kudos to you. Too bad you weren't watching this while I was doing it. Too bad it wasn't alive, huh? That's alright. Come on. A little bit on that edge. There we go. Okay, so this is going to go on the edge of this border. So I'm going to need to pop up these photos that I already put down because I was a goofball and didn't get this border put on here. But I do want it on here, so I'm gonna do it now. Okay. Okay, there we go. And I'm not worrying about putting another border like that on the inside. I just wanted it on the outside to kind of carry that theme across. Okay, and now we're going to do embellishments. I think I'm going to just forego the flowers. So I may edit that out. And if you're watching this now, then you'll be going, what flowers? Don't worry about it. I'm going to edit that out. All right, so we need a journal box, and we want to put the journal box down here. I have this one that's kind of cool. It actually goes with a different collection, but the colors in this match so nicely that I'm going to use these. I could just use this one alone, or I could use this one, which kind of cuts down on my writing space just a little bit. I don't want to use the whole thing. I want to be able to probably cut it in half and tuck it under. So if I'm going to cut it in half and tuck it under, we won't see this bucket list right here. That will be ideally tucked under. But if I tuck that under too far, then I really don't have any room to write. So that's my dilemma at the moment. Maybe I'll just use this one, and I won't worry about this one. But I like the color in this. It really kind of picks up the color in the other leaves. Ah, dilemmas, dilemmas. Maybe I'll just move it out just a little bit so I have more writing space. And I'll write double in the lines. Okay, let's go ahead and cut these 2 in half. This is one of our 6.5 inch mats, so half of that's going to be 3 1/4. And then we'll save this one for another day. And then this one is going to be, this is one of the 6 inch mats. So we're going to cut this one at 3 inches for the half mark. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm going to move that over just a smidge because that's going to be tucked underneath. Because I don't need the whole thing. So we're going to tuck it, do like that. Lift that up and lift this one up just for a second while I get that tucked right there. Or what we could do is tuck it like so. That will give us a little bit more room, ever so much. Just a tiny bit more. And we still cover up that bucket list so we don't have that. I like that better. Okay, now I've got lots of leaves, and I have one flower which I don't know if I'll use or not. Lots of leaves. I've got these palms, single palm. You could put these down here. Some of these leaves are shiny, which is kind of cool. We could just add a few more of those, kind of a spray of leaves up there like so. Open right now. How's that? Do you like that? I think I like that. Let's go for it. All right. So I'm going to make the larger one at the bottom just flush on there, and then we'll pop up the others. Pop up our flower. Like so. And we'll do the same thing with these guys up here. So the one on the bottom is just going to be on the paper. And then the other two will just pop up just a little. Right, and then same thing over here. I'm gonna put this big palm spray down, and then we'll pop up the Love and Right Now with some foam squares. Alright, I believe this one is done. Yeah, I don't think it needs those extra flowers, but I do like the added just little flower down here. Sorry about the glare from my lighting. Alright, super. Well, this one went together pretty easily, especially without the stress of trying to modify that punch, and I really like it. I think it turned out well. I hope that you enjoyed this time with me today, and I hope that this is a layout that will inspire you to use in your own albums. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day.